my name is Mazzy Hernandez, and today is February 10th, 2019. Today I will be going over some of the bones in the body, and I will be using this skeletal model to point them out. So the first bones that we're going to go over are the bones from the anterior skull view and the posterior skull view. So first we have the nasal bone, which is right here. Then we have the ethmoid, which is in the inner portion of the eye, towards the medial part of the skull, right behind the lacrimal, which is right here where the tear ducts are. Then we have the sphenoid, which is also on the inside, but it's on the outer portion towards the lateral side of the skull, and it's a bigger portion than that is from the front view. Those other two bones were. Then we have the zygomatic bone, which is right here, the cheekbone, the maxilla, which is right here, and the mandible, which is right here at the bottom, the jaw. Then we have the frontal, which is the forehead area right here, and the vomer, which is that line right there in the middle of the nose. Then we have the posterior view, and from the posterior view you can see the mandible right here on each side, the occipital bone, which is right here, the base of the skull, the parietal bone, which is the top portions, there's two on both sides, and the temporal bone, which is right here. You can't really see it, but it's there. Then the lateral skull view and the inferior skull view. We have the ethmoid, which is in that same spot in the inner portion of the eye right there. Can't really see it because it's a bad lighting, but same area in there, that area. The lacrimal, which is the tear ducts again in the inner portion of the eye. The maxilla, which you could see right here, and the mandible, which is right here, the jaw. Then we have the nasal bone, which is right here sticking out, and the occipital bone, which is again the base of the skull. The parietal bone, which is right here, you can see it right here. The temporal, which is right here where the temples are, and the zygomatic, which is the cheekbone. And from the inferior skull view, if you look inside, I will try to get this piece as best as I can. We have the ethmoid, which is right here, the middle, that little thing sticking out. We have the frontal, which is this area across where the forehead would be. The occipital, which is the back of the skull. The parietal, which is right here on the sides, on both sides. The sphenoid, which is this wing right here on both sides, the sphenoid, and the temporal, which is this little bottom portion that's called the pubis portion of the temporal, I believe. Okay, so put that back on. Okay, now we have the vertebral column and the thoracic cage and the pectoral girdle and upper limbs. So, turn this guy around again. So first are the first seven. They're the cervical vertebrae, and the first one of the cervical vertebrae is the atlas, and then there's the axis. And then, like I said, the first seven over here are the cervical. Then you have the thoracic vertebrae, which are all along here, and there are 12 of them. So there's 7, and then 12 is thoracic, and then the bottom 5 are the lumbar vertebrae. Then you have the sacrum and the coccyx right here, the bottom. Okay, so I'm turning around again. Then you have the body of the sternum, which is right here, and you have the manubrium right here, and then are the ribs. So there are 12 ribs, and the first 7 are the true ribs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they're called true ribs because they completely wrap around. They connect to the sternum here, and they also attach the other side to the thoracic vertebrae in the back. Then you have the false ribs, which are 8 through 12, and they're considered false because they don't They connect to the back, the vertebrae, but they don't connect to the sternum directly, or they don't connect at all. As you can see, at these bottom ones don't connect at all to the sternum. And then you have the floating ribs, which are right here. There's, you can see 4 of them right here. They connect to the back, but they don't connect at all to anything really in the front. Okay, now we have the clavicle, which is right here. The scapula, which these right here, the shoulder blades. The humerus, which is this big long bone right here. The radius, which is this, oops, yeah, this one right here, next to the thumb. And the ulna, which connects to the pinky and the elbow. Okay, next is the pelvic girdle and the lower limbs. So we have the ischium, which is this smooth part. We have the ilium is this smooth part right here, this big part right here. Then the ischium is this, like little arc portion. Then we have the pubic bone, which is right here in between the ischiums, and the femur, which is right here, the biggest bone of our body, and along with the patella, which is right here, the kneecap, the tibia, which is this big one, and the fibula, which is this smaller, skinnier one. Next we have the hand and the wrist. So I'm gonna try to move him so it's easier to be more visible. Okay. So first we have the capitate, which is under the middle finger, the 3rd digit. It's right here. Then we have the hamate, which is under the pinky on this side, right here. The lunate is under the capitate, which is right here at the bottom. It's kind of big. Then we have the scaphoid, which is all the way at the bottom underneath the thumb, which is the 1st digit. Then the sesamoid are the little bones right here on the thumb. And the trapezium, which is also under the thumb right here. The trapezoid, which is under the pointer finger, which is the number 2, the 2nd digit, it's right there. The tracheum, which is far below the ring finger, which is the 4th digit, and it's right here at the bottom next to the lunate. And then we have the metacarpals, which are these long bones right here in the hand. That's the palm area. And we have the phalanges, which is our fingers. So we have like the distal and medial and everything. Then we have the pisiform, which is the bone under the pinky, which is right here. Next and last are the bones in the ankle and the foot, which is the calcaneus, which is the biggest one. It's right here, that really big one. The cuboid, which is the big one right here towards the lateral portion. Then there's 3 bones that are called cuneiforms, and you have the you have the medial, intermediate, and the lateral cuneiforms. They're all in a row right here. Then we have the metatarsals, which are these long bones all across here in the foot. Then we have the navicular, which is in the back, inside left, medial, right here. The phalanges, which are the toes over here, and the talus, which is right here. It's the part that can be move our foot to flex it that way. And yeah, that's it. Those are all the bones in the body. Thank you for watching.